few points for today. The first one being why we think that quarantine is actually the primary goal of the justice system, or to phrase it differently, is largely how we achieve justice. And then most importantly, why we think that there's a disproportionate mismatch between the social benefit of quarantining individuals and the amount of time that we're actually sentencing for. Before that, I have a few points of rebuttal to jump it in. Before that, okay, so in order to understand the real delta here between the status quo and what we're advocating for is who is the person inputting. Because what's important to realize is that we do, in the status quo, take into account lots and lots of variables, right? We like to say absent, that intent matters, or context matters, or how old you are matters, and lots of different variables. What changes once you input that into an algorithm is that there's a way to oversee how often these things are actually being used, right? How often is it true that we let off kids because they're kids, or let off, rich people because they're rich? It allows us to have some oversight into the mechanism that we already allow in the status quo in the criminal justice system. We think this matters because lives are in the balance when we're talking about putting people in jail, right? That's the analysis that we get from ATOP, make it super terrible, guys. Okay, so there's that. Then we get this point from Dan saying, listen, if the algorithm is not sophisticated enough to determine whether an individual is guilty or not, it ought not be used as the sole determining factor as to how long they should be sent away or guilty. But what he's not understanding is what algorithms can and cannot do, right? The reason that we can't say, all right, this shows definitively, this algorithm can prove that you are guilty, because in order to do that, I need to pull up a bunch of pictures, take a bunch of DNA samples. And in fact, what I need is not just data points, but a cohesive narrative story. What I can do with this algorithm is to input specific data points, a source that you cannot input into a corpus to determine guilt or innocence, right? It's actually pretty hard to input a picture into an algorithm and have it give you something meaningful. Like, that doesn't work. So we use the course to determine guilt or innocence. What we are doing is using an algorithm to, optimize on data points that has the ability to optimize on. Okay. And then quickly onto this idea that we're going to get more minorities in jail. So, a few things. First of all, we like the mechanism that people get to vote, and we think this is important, right? That there's some sort of social say in the values that are being instilled. But even if that's not true, the status quo is that they're mostly white judges, right? Who are adjudicating over a predominantly, or at least disproportionately minority population. We just don't buy the argument that an algorithm is going to be worse for these people than people who are walking in with tons and tons of biases, who have sat for years and years presiding over people who are not like them, who are actually introducing the human factor. So we think that at the point at which most judges are white and male and very, very wealthy and very, very removed from the circumstances surrounding the crimes that occur anyway, that it's important that you have an algorithm look at it as opposed to the flawed individual, right? Okay. And in terms of mistakes, this just seems like a great way for us to be able to find when these mistakes happen, right? We can see, actually, this data input does not show us what we thought it shows. We know this because after this, it's been optimizing for a while, we see that actually this is not a relevant factor. This can help us determine what in the future we want to input, meaning that this would help us determine who's getting saved. Okay. So why does quarantine matter? Okay, so, we think that the goal of the criminal justice system largely isn't deterrence, because that's a bit less, right? What we're trying to do most of the time is to protect individuals from people that we think are dangerous. The problem that happens is that we don't do a very good job of determining who is and isn't dangerous, right? When you look at judge sentencing, they do a particularly poor job of determining ahead of time who is likely to reoffend, right? We just say, okay, recidivists are recidivists, and that's going to happen in the future, right? We don't actually take the time to individualize the specific data points that prove that to be true. Why? Because it's not possible for humans. So when first comes up and says, yes, judges have a lot of biases, we agree. We say the best judges in the world are incapable of making these sorts of decisions. Why? The reason being, no individual on earth has the capacity to understand all of the relevant data points and how they interact, right? It's a very complicated process, presumably. We don't really think computers figure this out, right? And so we say at that point, what happens is you have people who are ill-equipped to decide on these metrics, deciding on metrics that influence people's lives. And if you buy ATOM's analysis that jail is terrible for people, especially if they're not particularly innocent, then we think that this really, really matters, right? Because it's at that point in which you're sending people away to a point that doesn't serve any social utility, which is the thing that we're trying to accomplish. Okay, so what does this mismatch mean? Yeah, I'll take it.
So by your logic, if a police policeman arrives on the scene and finds a victim of assault, then they have no obligation whatsoever to provide that person with closure or with the retribution they decide. The only important person is the person who just committed the crime.
Okay, well, in the status quo, it's not the police's job to provide closure to an individual who's been the subject of a crime. Like, that's what therapists are for, and preachers are for, and whoever it is that you want to talk to. A police officer's job is to solve crimes, so, no. Okay, right, so what does this mean? It means that when we have this mismatch between the actual danger and threat that you pose to society and the amount of time that we put you away, then we're stripping people fundamentally of their ability to access life and the other sorts of rights that they deserve. The reason that this matters is that this is something that can actually be prevented, right? We understand the ways in which judges are good at doing things, right? We know that they're good at knowing what is and isn't illegal, right? Like this is or isn't something that falls under that category. But they're not particularly good at checking devices out the door, and they're not particularly good at just assuming a bunch of data and then spewing that back out in order to make reasonable sort of adjudications. And so what this allows us to do is to provide some sort of oversight into the mechanisms at play that put people away, right? It doesn't just allow us to determine what factors we deem important, but it actually helps us capitalize upon those factors and make sure that when we deem they're important, that they're actually being listened to. Right? And that matters. Because if we think that there's a social benefit not just to quarantine, but to the people who are outside of that jail cell, then it matters that they have access to, then it matters that the inputs that are putting people in these positions in the first place are the relevant ones and are the ones that are actually being used.